Happy Thursday in my world. Happy whenever you'll see this in your world, okay? Bienvenidos a mi canal. Welcome back to my channel if you know me. If you recognize me and know me, thank you so much for coming back to see me. I appreciate you. If you do not recognize this face right here, my bad. My name's Latrice. Nice to meet you. And this right here is Faith by Latrice. Yes. Where faith is the muscle we exercise around here. Now let's get on into it. No dilly-dallying. Mira. Today, this morning, I was listening to a podcast with two of my homies, Donovan and Kevin. It's called Imagine Faith Podcast, right? Boom. So I'm going to put the information down there. You can find them on Instagram. I believe it's Imagine Faith on Instagram too. But anyways, these are my guys. So they were talking about things. They got a question from a viewer, right? A listener. I'm sorry. It's a podcast. They got a question from a listener and they answered it. But they gave a bunch of nuggets in there that it was only like 23 minutes. And I had to keep pausing it throughout because Jesus, snatched me up. I love these guys. So I'm paraphrasing some stuff, but basically something that Donovan said on there. He said, come on, Jesus, and help us. Don't send yourself where God doesn't send you, right? Boom. And what are we talking about? So I believe one of the listeners, he sent in a question about, because Kevin is in the music industry, right? One of the hosts of the podcast. So he's in the music industry. However, his story, I can't tell his story like he could tell it, but basically he didn't ever think he was going to be in the music industry. He didn't want to be in it, right? He thought he was going to go, in the medical field, like his parents, like his family, right? So he's in there. And I believe the question was relating to, being a person of faith and you're in the music industry. Like, we know how it can get, right? It can get real secular, AKA that's the Christianese word, just for saying that it's worldly, right? It's not really godly. There's no talk about God or faith and et cetera, et cetera. So if you're someone like him who has a question like, how do I get in this area? How do I go to this industry? Doesn't that industry belong to them? The answer is no. Something Donovan said, people may influence an industry, but they are not the owners of the industry. There are influencers on Instagram. There are influencers on Twitter or whatever, right? And these people call themselves influencers just because they got a camera and they think they know how to do something because they looked it up on YouTube or whatever. Meanwhile, it's just like, what are you influencing? Okay, whatever. That's a whole different conversation. But Donovan was saying, like, they're influencers of this industry, of this field, but they're not the owners. God is the owner. God is the owner of the industry, the field, right? Being that he is the creator of all things and all the planet in the world and all the things in the galaxies, all that. He's the owner. So that's why when it's saying, when he's telling us we are going to take back the territory in that area, right? It's his territory, right? But being that we are in this world, people, spirits, let's keep it a stack, are influencing those areas. Which brings me to, often we may say we're going to change our careers, change where we're going, change what we're doing, and say, I'm going to send myself to Jesus. Y'all remember, sidebar, y'all remember when I was, it's hot in this car. Y'all remember when I was talking about sermons that Pastor Darius Daniels, PD, what's up? He was preaching about going out into the streets, right? And by the streets, he meant just our sectors, the sectors of the world, right? Be it finance, education, family, business, creative arts, all that, right? Whatever area or street you're called to, whatever street or area or sector in the world that you are called to change, that God is saying, this is the area I need you to impact and influence, right? I'm going to send you there. Okay. Now, when Donovan said, don't send yourself where God doesn't send you, Jesus started talking to me. What I got after that was, otherwise, well, he said this too. Let me just read the whole thing. Flow with me, please. Don't send yourself where God doesn't send you. Otherwise, you might become what the industry is, instead of doing your assignment to change it and take back the territory for God. Why do we need to go where God sends us? Why? If he's sending us there, that means he knows something we don't. He has insight that we don't. He has protection and covering that we don't. We didn't talk about this in another video, right? There is no protection. There is no covering where God is not. Okay. God told Abraham, Leave your house, leave this country, go to a place that I will show you, right? I will show you. He also said you're going to be the father, right, of many nations. He's the father of faith. He's the father of Allah. That his seed would be blessed. His descendants will be blessed. God gave him a lot of promises. He said this is what's going to happen. But also he gave him an instruction before he gave him those promises. The place that God sends you, there's going to be provision. There's going to be protection. There's going to be instruction. There's going to be grace. El tema de hoy. Where is he sending you? Where are you being sent? Where are you being sent? First, it was, what are you anointed for? Where are you being sent? Think about that. All right, that's it. Going about your business. Si nadie te ha dicho hoy, esta día que te estoy hablando a ti mismo. If nobody has told you today, yes, you. I love you. Because life be lifing out here, but guess what? We are going to prosper regardless. Catch you on the flip side.